Hi, ladies and gentlemen. This is Bobby Pate, the president and founder of the I.M.A.G.E program. And most of you remember my co-host on the I.M.A.G.E TV podcast, Ken Silver. Well, Ken is hospitalized right now, and his conditions continue to progress. He's getting better. I ask that you all keep him in your prayers. Ken is a very good friend of mine, and he's been a huge help to this whole I.M.A.G.E movement. I'm also asking for those of you out there who have been involved with this I.M.A.G.E movement here in Des Moines, Iowa. We have made a lot of noise right here in the reentry field and the platform for small business owners, for the African American cultures here right in the Des Moines community. And so if you are listening right now and you have been a supporter, you have been watching the whole I.M.A.G.E change, I would like to challenge you to make a contribution, make a financial donation. We have Cash App. You can go to $, the number 4 lives, and make a donation. Whether it's $5, whether it's $2, give from your heart. But we want to keep this I.M.A.G.E movement alive. You see, we don't have the resources that a lot of these other fancy places have, so we have to do things on our own. But by faith, the good Lord has kept this movement going. So I ask and I challenge you to make a donation. Whether you do it by check, you can write the check out to I.M.A.G.E, the number 4 LIVES. You could send it to 1301 Locust, Suite 403, Des Moines, Iowa, 50319. Or you can call me at 515-326-5498, or you can email me at rpate.image@mail.com or at gmail.com. Either one, we have both accounts. I want to say thank you very much. Have a very safe and productive holiday season, and we love you here at the I.M.A.G.E program. 98.3 The Vibe Special Edition I.M.A.G.E TV Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, Sunday's best. We've got some excellent guests on the show. Now, I told you guys, if you remember, that this whole story about the Lifers organization and the friends that I met in prison and the people that are serving life sentences that have got 20, 30, 40 years in. And, we talked about we were going to have a group of people who actually wrote this bill and prepared this bill for the lifers to be reviewed after 25 years. I've got them on the show this morning, and they're going to talk about this bill. They're going to talk a little bit about some of their experiences and what they do. I mean, I've got Lee Schott in the house. I've got Tim Deesberg, Stormy Poe, Sue Hutchins. I mean, we got some real important people on the I.M.A.G.E show this morning, and we're going to talk about this bill. So don't change that dial, ladies and gentlemen. You're locked and loaded into nothing but a whole lot of interesting content. You're listening to 98.3 The Vibe, I.M.A.G.E show, I.M.A.G.E TV podcast, episode number 18. We'll be back after these messages. And we're back on the I.M.A.G.E show, ladies and gentlemen. Des Moines, Iowa's best I.M.A.G.E for Lives program is a nonprofit 501c3 designed to help provide a platform for those not only coming out of prison, but those looking to advertise some of their small businesses, to talk a little bit about their experiences, if they've got a story to tell. I mean, we just want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to provide opportunity right here in Des Moines, Iowa's inner city. Now, I told you guys, we've talked about this big bill that's in the legislature right now. And so, on the show right now, I have 4 beautiful guests, joining us by Zoom. And ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to pronounce these guys, Tim Deesberg, Lee Schott, Stormy Pose, and Sue Hutchins. It is a pleasure to have you all on the Image TV podcast, early morning Sunday's best, 98.3 The Vibe.
We're glad to be here.
Very glad to be here.
And
thank you so
much. No problem. Now, can you guys tell me just a little bit about this bill that right now I believe it's still in the legislature's hands? Is that correct?
Yes, it is. It's at Legislative Services. It's been there since November 5th. Okay. Was when it was taken down there. And so we're just waiting for them to take a look at that and have it come out of Legislative Services.
Okay, so first of all, can you explain the bill? If some people want to get behind this bill, if they want to support this bill, support you guys and what you're doing. First of all, take us back, explain to us what exactly does this bill entail?
Stormy, you want to lead us in that part?
No, Lee, go ahead. Go ahead.
The bill, we've worked on a bill that would modify the way commutation is handled, and it is our belief that commutation has not provided a meaningful path to people being able to leave prison. A very small number of people have been commuted in recent years, and so the bill has a provision that essentially after people have been in prison after lifers have been there for 25 years, there is a more extensive amount of review and opportunity for people to be looked at with a long list of factors that need to be considered, and a committee that reviews all this and gathers the information and makes a recommendation ahead of it going to the parole board. And so it gets passed through the parole board on the way to the governor, but it provides for this much more extensive review than what in current law would be required. If the governor does not act on it, or if the governor chooses to, it will be sent to a district court to make a decision if the governor wants that to happen as another level of review. So those are the main pieces that are part of the bill.
Okay. And Tim Deesberg, can you tell us, so we've got, now we just heard from you, Lee Schott, and we've also heard from Stormy. And so Sue Hutchins, Tim, what are you guys' role in this?
Well, I worked with the Iowa Department of Corrections for 35 and a half years. I worked with offenders every day. Started out as a correctional officer for about 6.5 years, and then I was promoted to Iowa Prison Industries. And, you know, as a correctional officer, you see offenders every day. You see hundreds every day, and you might say hi to them. You're walking by, you're monitoring, and that kind of thing. What I learned with Iowa Prison Industries is I'm working with and training offenders 8 hours a day, sometimes 10 hours a day. And throughout that time, I started that in 88 and then promoted through the ranks and became supervisor in 97 and supervised 4 different shops that we worked with there at Adamosa State Penitentiary. And through that time, I really started to see the different side of watching these individuals grow, learn, and become very knowledgeable, take education classes, learn a skill, and seeing how the skill really shoots and gives confidence into people that they may not have had confidence before. And then, so with that, I mean, I've seen, I'll give you an example of an individual that I've seen. He come in a gang member in the metal furniture division and worked with us, and he became a shear operator, then a lead man and metal forming. And throughout the years, he grew his hair back, became a man right in front of my eyes. I mean, I've worked in there the whole time with him. In fact, hired him all the way to the point where he got out, and he now has a house. He's got 3 kids. He got a job right away. As soon as he got out of prison, I helped him find a located job in the field that he was in. And just a magnificent individual, and seen many examples of that. And with that, I'm here because I don't only see individuals that serve 2 years to 15 years. I worked with people, as you said, Bobby, that have been there 40 years plus. And one example of a guy that came in, he came in the same time I started in March of 82, and I started in July of 82. He's still there. And I've seen this individual grow. He's doing a life sentence without the possibility of parole. He grew into one heck of a good man and a very knowledgeable, skillful individual that I can honestly tell you today that if given a chance, I would help that individual, including housing in my own house, to get started. That's how I see some of these individuals that come through that the facilities and the correctional system. Then I started a registered apprenticeship program at I.M.A.G.E pilot program in 2014. And it went so well that with the U.S. Department of Labor Office of Apprenticeship that the director asked me to be the apprenticeship coordinator for the whole Department of Corrections. And we took that registered apprenticeship program in all 9 correctional facilities. So throughout my time in 2015, we did that in all 9 facilities. When I retired in 2017, we had 22 occupational apprentice programs.
That's great. And, now let me ask: did these who were these benefiting? I mean, who was benefiting behind this?
Benefiting behind the training?
The programs.
The programs? Well, there's no question it's very beneficial to the apprentice themselves.
Okay.
But
which is who?
Which is the offender entering into the apprenticeship program under a registered apprentice in the U.S. Department of Labor. You sign them up right with their program.
Okay.
And then they start their program.
Okay, let me change directions just a little bit. I want to go over here to you, Stormy. Tell us now. I'll tell you from a personal experience that I've had with lifers that are serving a life sentence. The majority of them that I've come in contact with were very respectful, were very, very considerate, and moved with a lot of integrity. And Warden McKinney in Fort Dodge, I know when he was there, had a lot of lifers pretty much running the camp. I mean, when it came to commissary, they did all that. They were trusted, with a lot of things. And I know that, this bill is something that you and Sue Hutchins also have put together, along with Lee Schott and Tim. But I just want to know, give me your perspective on this bill, and why is this important to you?
Well, I mean, from a personal standpoint, obviously, that's where I started to get involved. And once that happened, then I got to know all kinds of other lifers and what they were doing. And I could see that the men that had committed, I'm sure, a very heinous crime were not the same men. We never, ever want to forget the victims. Obviously, nobody ever wants to forget the victims. But unfortunately, I feel like I wish the victims could get to know the people that they are today. Because I do think that we do keep them trapped sometimes in what their perception is of that person. And unfortunately, there can be no contact with the victims. And that's extremely understandable why that would be. And again, I never ever want to not discount in any way, the victims at that. But I do think that it would be wonderful if we could start some kind of a situation where they could see what the lifers are doing today, the men and women that they've become today. A lot of times there's a fear of, I don't ever want this to happen to anybody else. And I think that if they could look at the recidivism of what happens with a lifer, it is minuscule compared to the recidivism that is happening with other people that get out. And simply a big part of that is that they age out of crime. Just like when we don't do the same things we did when we were in our early 20s, they don't do those kinds of things either. And the juvenile lifers, a few years back were given, in 2016 by the United States Supreme Court, they were given a chance. They said, that their brains were not developed and they couldn't be held accountable without at least a second look. And so they've given them a second look. And the ones in Iowa that have gotten out, I think there's been a couple of parole violations, but there has been nobody returned to prison for any kind of a crime. And if you look back to lifers in general, whether they were a juvenile lifer or not, I don't know of any lifer that has ever committed any kind of a heinous crime again. I mean, that's a zero recidivism rate on a crime like that. And it's just unheard of from any other category. And one of the things with the lifers that is very troubling is when they come up for parole, they used to come up, they would come up 5 years, 3 years, 2 years, and then every year. And then they changed that to come up every 10 years. And that was only if they applied to come up. Well, then during that time, there isn't too much of an extensive process that's done, an interview process to see what is this person like? Are they getting in trouble? Have they gotten an education? How are they a leader? Those kinds of things. And they get about 30 minutes once every 10 years in front of a parole board. And the first thing that is out of every one of them that I've seen is they can't get past the nature of the crime. Well, the lifer cannot do anything about the nature of the crime. They cannot unfortunately, they cannot undo, what has happened to that victim or the family or whatever that is. But that's kind of where it stops. They can't get past that. What I have such a hard time with is they can get past that for a juvenile lifer. And I know they'll say, well, their brain wasn't developed. Well, there's, information out there that says doesn't stop just at, 18. Now all of a sudden it's developed. But also, in addition to that, they're given that chance. And then there's other people that have that same crime, a murder, a brutal rape, whatever it may be. And they maybe got a 50-year sentence and they get a chance to actually prove themselves. So I guess what this is for is to say that there are people out there, and certainly we're not asking them to open up the floodgates and let everybody out. I mean, this process is a minimum of 25 years and very, very strict factors, but give it a chance. Look at them as an individual and not as the crime that they were charged with. And that's what they're still looked at today, is the crime that they were originally charged with, and not an individual and a in humanity. Give them a chance.
Sure. Thank you so much. Stormy, that was so important that you let all of that information out, because the people that are listening, the people that are out listening over 98.3 The Vibe, that are listening on YouTube all over the country, we're in Des Moines, Iowa right now. You guys are joining us via Zoom and in Sioux City, Iowa. But I mean, this stuff that goes on in Iowa prisons, that's been going on for years. I hope that Governor Reynolds is listening and some of her staff, because we're hoping that you're able to kind of look through the situations and, kind of look at the souls and the people. I mean, it's hard for a person to make decisions based on what they see in black and white or on paper. However, when you're talking about prison and setting people free after 25 years, the reality is that they've changed. They've turned into a different person by then. And most of the people, especially the lifers, are some of the most nonviolent people that you will ever come across in prison. Now, I'm not talking about Fort Madison Maximum Prison in the state of Iowa. I'm talking about Rockwell, Fort Dodge, Newton, some of these places where these lifers have been able to migrate because of their behavior. And so this is so great. Now, Sue, I want to get to you. We've got Sue Hutchins with us, ladies and gentlemen. And so, Sue, what is your part in all this? Tell us a little bit about you.
Well, thank you, Bobby, and I'm really glad to be here. My part in working on this particular bill has been to introduce people and to help keep the lifers informed as to what we were doing. And in the course of that, one of the things that I really decided that needed to happen, because we have over 700 people doing life in prison in Iowa, over 700 people. We have more people doing life in prison in Iowa right now than we had total incarcerated population in 1975 when we decided to get tough on crime. And to me, that is heartbreaking and totally unnecessary.
Yes, it is.
What I've done, I'm in touch on Core Links and also on the phone with about 60 lifers at this point. The organization that I started is called Living Beyond the Bars, and I work with family members of people who are incarcerated from the time of arrest through incarceration and also into reentry.
I believe you wrote a book. Is that you that wrote a book as well?
Right here. I just happen to have a copy with me. Yes,
right.
This book, and my purpose in writing this was to introduce people to some of these lifers.
Good.
There are 27. I have 27 lifers in here who have done a minimum of 25 up to 40 years. There's one lifer in here who has earned a PhD. There are a couple lifers in here who have earned master's degrees. There's one lifer in here who has 7 apprenticeships with Tim. There are lifers in here. There's a lifer in here who started the Braille program,
Sue,
who ran the Braille programs.
It is amazing. The list could go on, and I understand that. I want to get your opinion a little bit more on what do you think stops legislature from approving bills like this, or people from shying away from situations like this. I know most people don't want to talk about this kind of stuff. I mean, they look at it on paper. You've killed someone, you've murdered someone, in however which way that it happened, and you don't ever deserve a chance at freedom. Now, actually, Iowa doesn't have the death penalty, but just as we talked earlier, Stormy, technically, they do have the death penalty, because when you sentence someone to life in prison without the possibility of parole, after they've done maybe 44 years, basically you're slowly killing them. And that's what I was watching when I was in there. Now, of course, I'm not saying that, you have to serve a consequence for what you do. You have to. And I support that 100%. I also support the fact that a person, after he's served his consequence and has changed, he should be allowed the chance to regain his freedom, especially after 44 years, 30 years. You go just 3 hours down the road to another state, and the person can commit the exact same crime and get, 13 years or 20 years or whatever, but they still get their freedom back. What I'm saying is this stuff is it's so scrambled around and unequal everywhere. And I just think that the state of Iowa needs to look a little bit beyond the bars. So isn't that what your book's called? Something like that? Beyond the Bars?
The name of the book is called Bleak Walls, Bright Minds.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of something else.
The name of my organization is Living Beyond the Bars.
Living Beyond the Bars. Okay. So, Leisha, we've still got you up there in the top right corner. Tell us, what has been your part in all of this? And I'm going to tell you, this fascinates me that you guys have come up with a bill, and you've got it presented, and we want to get. I want people to get behind this. How do we go about doing that? Or for people to learn more about it as well and determine if they want to get behind it or not.
If it's okay, Bobby, I just want to tell a bit of my story. I'm a pastor. I was a lawyer in my past life. And so when it came time to working on a bill, I ended up doing a lot of the drafting because I have done that kind of work before. But my connection to this work is that for 9 years, I was a pastor that was working inside the women's prison at Mitchellville. And so I got to know many people who were lifers and long-termers. And so my experience was that those people had a huge impact. Those women had a huge impact on the culture at that prison, mentoring and helping people figure out how to kind of settle in. When I went there, I said, if I were a lifer, I don't know why I would ever behave. And I saw these lifers not just behave, but contribute to the work inside the prison, and then earn degrees and do programs like you've heard other people talk about. And I'm with the way Tim and others have talked about. I met a lot of women who were. I met the lifers who were there, and I thought, we're not serving anyone by having them here. It's not cost effective for the state. It interferes with their families' abilities to thrive, and there needs to be a real opportunity that helps anybody who goes to prison have a path to, if they do the right things, if their behavior merits a second look, then there should be an opportunity for that. When I began doing that work, I was told that life means life in Iowa. And it's actually not exactly true, because commutation has always been part of the scheme. But over the past, 30 years, commutation has been almost never granted. And so, and that was after a period before that where it was fairly often it would be granted. And so that needs to be revisited, and the legislature can clarify these are the standards that we want.
I don't mean to interrupt you. I don't mean it, but we've got some kind of something in the background. I'm not quite sure what that was. Oh, okay. Go ahead.
No, I was pretty well done. So I've been excited to work with this team that just kind of came together out of shared interest. We aren't part of a group or any particular connection other than deciding that we wanted to work on this bill, which means if somebody wants to get involved, I guess they just need to contact one of us, and we'll add you to the list.
Thank you so much for coming on this show, all of you guys, and for what you're doing. I think that if you continue to keep pressing, you're going to eventually be amazed at the miracles and the doors that open up with this bill, and the lives that it changes, and the direction that it takes our state. The freer that people become in their minds, and the more that they begin to strive for better things. I think that you guys have planted a seed, and I'm just excited to see it continue to water and grow. So thank you very much for coming on the show. Thank you all. And I'll definitely be in touch. For those out there that are listening, is there a number or a contact information that you can leave us with if we want to get behind this and support it?
How about through you, Sue?
Yes, you can contact Hutchins_Sue@yahoo.com. That's my email address, and my phone number is 575-343-0202. And if you want to get to know some of these lifers' stories, if you have any interest in that, you can get the book on Amazon, and it's $10 in paperback, it's $3 on Kindle, or you can go to YouTube, and for no charge at all, there are 3 of us from Living Beyond the Bars that read about 16 of these guys' stories, and you can listen to that. So if you have interest in actually wanting to know these people for who they are, I would suggest that you do that. And then you can contact me anytime, and I will get back to you as soon as I can.
All right. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, you're tuned into 98.3 The Vibe, special edition, Sunday's best early morning show. We want to thank you all for tuning in 9 a.m. on 98.3 The Vibe for the 1 hour of power. And then we've got YouTube episode number 18. And we have started off. I got another guest on the show. We'll be back, ladies and gentlemen. Don't change that dial. You're locked and loaded into 98.3 The Vibe. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. You're locked and loaded into Des Moines' hottest I.M.A.G.E TV podcast. We've been talking a lot about re-entry on this podcast, and never forget that I also am a former college basketball player, played in the Pac-West Conference in college with the University of Hawaii Hilo. And so during those times, I had a chance to get close and meet Jeff Hill, former basketball player for Drake. Jeff had ran a lot of basketball camps at the time. He had also worked a lot with nonprofits. And so it is a pleasure for me to announce right now that we are in the season of the Christmas giveaway, and Jeff Hill has his own Jeff Hill Christmas giveaway. Ladies and gentlemen, all the way from Alabama, I've got him on the telephone with me right now, the old school Drake legend, Jeff Hill, ladies and gentlemen. Jeff, it is a pleasure to have you back on the I.M.A.G.E show, my friend.
Man, it's a pleasure to be here, Bobby. I'm glad to be a part of the I.M.A.G.E program. I'm a fan of what you're doing there in Des Moines. It's just great that you can come back and do the things that you're doing, Bobby. I'm just a fan of the I.M.A.G.E program. I watch it all the time. I listen all the time. The things that you're doing out there is just outstanding, and it's something close to my heart.
Oh, thank you so much, Jeff. Hey, man, that means a lot coming from a guy like you. I know that you've been through a lot of adversity. You've had some ups and downs, and now you're finally living the life of freedom. And so, man, it's a pleasure to have you on the show to come back to Des Moines, Iowa. It's just great. So we've got the Jeff Hill Christmas giveaway, December 21st. And that is going to be wonderful for the kids. And the families. I think, what are you giving away, free turkeys?
Well, here's what I'm doing, Bobby. I'm coming back to Des Moines because Des Moines is real close to my heart. That's where I grew up at. I came to Des Moines when I was 17, and I left Des Moines when I was 47. So I grew up in Des Moines. You know, it's close to my heart. It's a place where I learned how to live. I learned to make mistakes. I made my mistakes there, and I made some good things happen. What I'm going to do, Bobby, on December 21st, I'm coming back to the Next Level Performance Academy on 2425 Hubble Avenue at 12 noon. I'm going to give away 100 turkeys. I'm going to give away 50 hams, and I'm also going to sponsor 20 families for Christmas.
All right. That's excellent. So now, for those of you joining us on 98.3 The Vibe, Sunday morning special edition, if you're listening to this, Jeff Hill will be having the Christmas giveaway December 21st. That's tomorrow. That's Monday, tomorrow. So don't miss it. And Jeff, give them the address and the information one more time.
This is Next Level Performance Academy. That's on 2425 Hubble Avenue, right there in Des Moines, right up the street from Latin King, right across the street from the Quick Trip. I'll be there. I'm going to give away all these turkeys. I'm going to give away all these hams. I want people to show up. And I've already handpicked 20 families that need some help. That need some help during this pandemic and this COVID year that's going on. So we're going to do 20 families this year with my sponsors. We're going to make sure that we take care of 20 families. They got 3 or 4 kids. We got one family that's got 8 kids that we're going to take care of, and we're going to make sure they have a Christmas out of sight.
You're doing a great job, Jeff. Keep up the good work, man. All the way in Alabama. We don't forget about you. you left a legacy right here in Des Moines, Iowa, all the way from Drake University to the Jeff Hill basketball camps to, what is it, Down South Barbecue. That's what it was.
Down South Barbecue, Bobby. You know, I've done quite a bit, Bobby, in Des Moines. You know, I put on the big parties at Drake Relays. I've done the Down South Barbecue. You know, Des Moines has been good to me. You know, I can't say anything bad about it. All I know is I grew up there. The people took care of me. I love Des Moines. I love Drake University. And I love that. You know, the best thing, Bob, I can come back and help. I want to be a part of the community. I've always been a part of the community. I was directed at Old Dowling Community Center. We put on great programs there. I started the first summer league. I started the first athletic league there for inner city kids. And I try to do things for inner city kids because I was an inner city kid, Bobby. And Drake University gave me an opportunity to see the world. I seen the world when I came to Drake. I can't do nothing but give back. It feels so good to give back, Bob.
Hey, Jeff. It's always a pleasure, man, to have you on Special Edition Image TV Podcast. We're now on episode number 18, and you just helped top it off there, Jeff.
Thank you very much, Bobby. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thank you, my friend. So those of you that are joining us, don't forget to get out there and get those free gifts. Jeff Hill's giving away free hams, free turkeys. Give us that address one more time for those that have been listening and didn't get a chance to write it down.
2425 Hubble Avenue, right up the street from the Latin King. Right there, we got a great facility there. We're going to be passing out turkeys. We're not going to get out the cars, Bob. You can sit in your car. I'll put that turkey right in your car or that ham, and we're going to keep it moving. Okay. You know, we got to be very cautious about COVID. Yes. And we're going to make sure that we're cautious, but we're going to keep giving because that's what it's all about. This is the giving season.
All right. Des Moines, Iowa, Image for Lives program, Image TV podcast. The Image program is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and we are right here in Des Moines, Iowa. If you would like to be on the show, please contact us at rpate.image@mail.com. Image TV podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, we've had a great show this morning. We want to thank you all for tuning in. We want to thank you all for your support and everything that you do. Remember, don't hesitate to reach out to me, the director of the Image program, and we would love to service your needs. But for now, we're all out of time. And as we say about this time, it's a wrap. So we thank you and we pray that you have a blessed week.